Happy anniversary for all of those who celebrate.
Did you practice that in the mirror before you came in?
Yeah, I did. I've been talking about it all week. I've had that prepped, locked and loaded. I have a group chat at the moment dedicated to the Hannah Montana anniversary coming
I
out.
knew this was coming and I knew there was a huge fandom for it and all that sort of thing. So I was on board, but I didn't realize exactly
You're
how
not
intense.
on board.
No, I am. I didn't grow up watching Hannah Montana,
That's fair.
but I appreciate the legacy and I love Miley Cyrus. So
Yes.
I'm on board. I didn't realize what a big deal it was until the other day in the office. Disney sent this thing out being exactly what time it was going to drop in every
That was in our group chat.
And I read it out. Everyone in the office started like screaming.
Yeah.
And I said, oh my God, this is more intense than I imagined.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. So the Hannah Montana 20th anniversary special came out on Disney last night. I had my clock set, so I was ready to go, locked and loaded. Now, the fact that one of my favorite childhood shows is returning for its 20th anniversary is sending me into a little bit of a spiral because I can't believe that much time has passed.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, there's a huge fandom behind this show. So there was a lot of expectation, hopes and dreams, and we'll have a little bit of a dive into what it delivered. I think firstly, it's notable to look at how it came to life. You know, you'd think that Disney had enough time to prepare for this. It was one of the biggest shows in the whole Disney franchise, I would say. One of their most successful.
Absolutely.
You think they'd be preparing for this, but it turns out, you know, Miley Cyrus has shared how she was campaigning for this and she like willed it into existence. She'd be on red carpets in interviews. People would ask her what's coming. She'd be like, we're planning something, guys. Something is coming for Hannah Montana. And eventually that kicked the Disney execs into gear, and that is how the special actually came to life.
Oh, wow. It's a wonder that Disney, like, because, you know, we know they love money so much, so much. It's a wonder they weren't like 5 years ahead of time, like trying to get something off the ground for that like big cash grab. Trying to get her to come back and do like a reboot series or a movie or something. That's, I know it wasn't that, but I can imagine they would just be throwing money at that. And legacy be damned.
No, for sure. And I think that's what a lot of the fans would have wanted. I feel like a lot of people were vying for, you know, a comeback episode or a movie.
Yeah.
But what we got in this special featured an interview with Alex Cooper, the host of the Call Her Daddy podcast, and they chat through some of Hannah's most memorable moments. They look at memorabilia. We have some interesting guest star appearances as well. So it's not exactly what I really expected from it, but I think it is because I'm so personally invested. Like I just wanted a little bit more.
It was more so like the Friends reunion that we had years ago where everyone wanted them to come back and play those characters. Yeah. They were like, we can't do that. I think that was the right choice. Yeah. So instead they just had more of a celebration, which I think potentially for Hannah Montana, I mean, I think it would have been much easier to bring that back as more of like a scripted show than Friends. But I do think it was probably the best choice. Otherwise they would have had to do this whole thing of like, what is she doing now? And also to have tension, you have to kind of ruin this is the thing about so many of my favorite shows have been rebooted and have come back. The issue with that is that you have to ruin the characters' lives and have tension in order to make the show work. So like you just know that Hannah Montana would have been like down and out, career's over.
Maybe that would make me feel better. I could have been in a different mindset today.
Yeah. What did you think about Alex Cooper's hosting part of it? Because I thought it was interesting because obviously Miley Cyrus was the first big celebrity guest on Call Her Daddy after the whole like that podcast, like the two hosts split up, and then Alex Cooper launched it solo and Miely was the first big guest that kind of propelled her into where she is now as a celebrity interviewer. And I was watching the video from inside the premiere where Miely was introducing Alex and she was like, this girl came to my house and interviewed me. Then all of a sudden she got some money, moves in next door, pretends she doesn't know I live there even though she did know. And now we're doing this together. So they're obviously become friends now, which is interesting.
I feel like Alex is a little bit of a super fan. So I love that she had the opportunity to interview her.
Exactly. I know she cops a lot of flack for being a bad interviewer and like I have thoughts on that for another day. She's not great, but she is a super fan. Yeah. So she was the right person to do it.
I think she's the right age. She's a fan. I think the questions were she didn't dig that deep. I didn't think we got anything out of the interview that we maybe didn't already have. There wasn't too much beyond that. The interviews kind of segue into these different moments within the show. We have a moment with her mom, like looking through the set and the closet, looking at memorabilia. And then we have these guest star appearances. So I have some thoughts.
Okay,
here.
Tell me.
Why is Chappell Roan here? I just can't figure out why Chappell Roan is here. Again, I think she's giving super fan. It is giving a little like, we're making a wish. We're making a wish come true for Chapel Roan.
Yeah, that didn't hit in the emotional because, as I said, I'm so aware of the nostalgia and stuff. When I watched it, I was feeling emotion. Just I guess like the passage of time, what the show meant for people. I thought
I like that. The passage of time.
The passage of time that'll get you every time if you think about it too hard. I thought her and her mum Tish, who I'm a fan of because that woman has lived a wild life and I love the headlines that she makes. I loved them going through the closet and pulling out the clothes, and Miley like pulling out the outfit she hated wearing as Hannah Montana. And she was like, you can tell when Disney shopped, and she holds up those sparkly pants with the leopard, with the zebra top. Yeah. And then she's like, and then when Tish shopped, because Tish was like buying clothes for the show.
I love how involved her family
were.
Yeah.
And also when they try to get the closet to spin and it doesn't spin, and Tish is like, it's not going to work. Yeah. And Miley's like, I mean, it's 20 years old. Yeah. Give it a second. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, that's the closet from the show.
Yeah.
Oh, that was cute.
Yeah. It's like for like the set. I think they got it in great detail.
Yes.
So that is really satisfying as a fan to see that.
Yeah, the Chapel stuff didn't hit as much as, I mean, I guess that she didn't know Miley then, like someone like a Selena Gomez or something. I think she was meant to be there as like Miley at the time, or like Hannah Montana was the ultimate pop princess, and now Chapel Roan is like the ultimate pop princess.
I feel like it's an interesting choice, and I wonder if there were other options like in the lineup, because for me it would have made more sense to have someone who came through that Disney machine. Like you've got Sabrina Carpenter, Olivia Rodrigo. I'm sure they all have very busy schedules, but just an hour of your time.
Yeah, I do know. I don't know if maybe the idea in the meeting was that Miley loves her and looks up to her, and like maybe Chapel was like, oh yeah, I was raised on Hannah Montana, and then that didn't come across in the segment. I wonder
Miley
if it fell
walked so
flat.
she could run.
Exactly. It's wild to think of. But I also thought, would we be looking at that segment differently if the huge Chapel Roan made a child cry, she hates children and her fans rhetoric wasn't out this week?
The timing,
which they couldn't have predicted. It's just bad timing.
No, yeah. I think it is interesting, and that has left a lot of people like feeling uneasy, like seeing her on screens. I honestly zoned out a little bit in that part because I just wanted to bring it back to Miley. I really think she carried it, and it was interesting to see also Billy Ray Cyrus, her dad make an appearance.
What did you think of that? Because they've had the most tumultuous, that whole family has tumultuous relationship.
Been on a journey.
And they've been on the outs, right?
Yeah.
Like they have gone through periods of time of not speaking.
Yeah.
She didn't thank him when she won her Grammy. And it was very pointed because she was like, she thanked so many people. And then she said, and that's all, I've thanked everyone. It was so pointed that she didn't thank him. Do you think that they're in an okay place now, or do you think they held it together for the cameras because they knew what it would mean for the audience to see them back on that set together?
There has been that estrangement between them both. Last year, Miley did come out publicly to say, you know, a bit of water under the bridge. They've made peace with each other. She had her song come out where there's some lyrics dedicated to him about, you know, how she'll always love him. So they've had that moment already in the public eye, but it would be a convenient time for it to happen before this kind of schedule was in the works.
Yeah.
Because now looking at the timeline, this is probably 2025, around when this would have been wheels in motion.
Yeah.
So it does feel like a little bit of a front, and I think watching the special, it does feel a little bit more like a Cyrus reunion.
Yeah,
like so many of the Cyruses are back.
Part of that show, her family, but I guess it has been difficult because we had that whole thing where the Cyrus kids split down the middle, and like very publicly a few years ago, a bunch of them supported Tish and a bunch of them supported Billy, and then I think also with Billy Ray Cyrus getting divorced from his much younger ex-wife.
I think they met on the set.
They met on the set, when she was a child. And then she's made a lot of allegations around like domestic abuse and stuff and everything. So I feel like Miley Cyrus couldn't, you know, publicly support her father without addressing that more. So it's been a messy situation.
I think it was nice to see them on set together. Like he was such a big part of the show, and getting a little bit of an insight into her experience being cast on the show. You know, they moved over from LA, just a young girl, and I think there's a really cute, powerful story in that, and in how much the family backed it, and then being able to take on like that experience together with, you know, him on the show, and then Tish being so involved and always on set. And I think that's part of the reason why Miley has stayed so grounded, because her parents were so involved and across everything that happened on set. You know, that's not the same experience for a lot of other people. You know,
a lot of other
Nickelodeon
Disney kids,
documentary that came out, it's been a very different story. So I think that's like a really important part of like the person that she is today. And also something else that I thought was interesting was there was a conversation with the former Disney Channel president, Gary Marsh, and he speaks about how Disney had a very clear vision to turn this fictional pop star into a real life global sensation, which is exactly what obviously happened with Miley. So to know that that was already in play from when they cast her, like that was always the vision for her. Such a interesting look at, you know, how that machine works.
Yeah, absolutely. Were there any little reveals that you, as like a hardcore Miley Hannah Disney fan, was the Dylan Sprouse thing the biggest thing? And was that a big reveal? I kind of thought that was like a known thing.
I think he's actually come out on an interview before saying they were dating. I think I was shocked because they show a picture on screen.
That picture set me over the edge.
They're the same age. I Googled it. She looks so
much
old.
older than him.
He looks 8, she looks 15. And I thought, let's take that picture up the screen. I think they were just very
at first it was like a bit like, oh, secret, like cute little first love on the Disney Channel. But then they showed the photo and she looked like his big sister, her like the big sister having to look after his little brother. And then she was like, yeah, and Cole would come too. So I get two for the price one. And we go to the sushi place. And I was like, oh, Jesus, I love this.
I love her.
Yeah.
I love her. She's so great. The other thing that I loved, and I think this is such like obviously relatable as a teenage experience to want to be around your boyfriend. But as a Disney star, what does that look like? When she was going on the Best of Both Worlds world tour, she said she would only agree if her boyfriend could come along. Her boyfriend is Nick Jonas. They say, sure, cute.
Yeah.
He can come if the Jonas Brothers open. And that's how it played out.
I'm sure the Jonas Brothers were thrilled about that.
Yeah.
That's how they got famous. That's how they got famous, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my God. Those Jonas Brothers are responsible for so much lore.
I know. They get up to a lot. They're busy.
A lot happening.
Yeah.
What did you think of Selena Gomez coming onto the set? I didn't realize that she had she guest starred on Hannah Montana, right?
Yes. So Selena Gomez does star in a couple of episodes in the earlier days of Hannah Montana.
Of course she did. Disney was working her like a dog at that stage. They were just putting her in everything.
She was in everything. So they were rivals. She was a pop star competitor. So there was
Sorry, make that movie now with them as adults.
That.
I would watch the shit out of that.
I would watch that, Disney, if you're listening.
Yeah.
We need to will it into the conversation.
Yes.
We'll take Miley's word on that.
Because they showed that little clip and they had such good enemy, and I say this this is hard to pull off. They had such good enemy chemistry on screen. Yeah. I so believed it.
It probably was kind of real.
Yeah.
It was probably rooted in some kind of truth.
Well, I felt bad when Selena's she was like, I'm 15, I just wanted to be pretty, which I totally understand. And they put her in a weird costume and locked her outside. And she was like, and she takes everything so personally.
It's so interesting though, because when you're just watching, as if you're as a kid, you would never think Selena Gomez looks so ugly here. You're just I look up to you, I love you, and I think you're amazing. But I would love to see them come back in something. I thought it was interesting to see, whenever I see Selena Gomez these days in interviews, I wonder what's happened. She seems so different from her past.
I've always thought this about Selena. And the thing is, she has so much. Everyone she works with seems to love her. Her fans love her no matter what. She's so happily married. She's on a hit TV show. She's being nominated for awards. She works with Meryl Streep. And there's such a sadness around her. And it came through on the Hannah Montana special when she and Miley Cyrus are sitting on the couch.
A flat conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I did find it kind of emotional because there's so much history between them. I thought the sweetest moment was when they walked away from the camera and they walked off set and the camera followed them and they had that big hug away from the set, which I found really beautiful and I'm like, oh, those girls have been through so much.
I know. And even if you don't, I feel like even if they weren't on the same path the whole time, I feel like they had such separate careers.
Yeah.
There's so much that you can relate because
they've been through so much together.
Yeah, there's a moment that Miley says she gets quite lonely because there's no one she can really share her experience with because there aren't many people that have ever been on the same path as her. So I can imagine they would have a really special connection, which is sweet to see on the screen.
Love that.
Yeah.
So did it live up to your expectations as a super fan?
When I first watched it, I was like, this is everything I needed. I love Miley Cyrus. She's an icon. Everything she does is amazing. But now that I've really sat with it, I've thought about it, I think it was a little bit anticlimactic for me.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah, which I think that could just be what happens when your favourite shows are revived in some capacity.
I feel like you needed to be at the taping of the live bits.
Oh my God.
Everything I've read, I was reading journalists' account from People Mag and stuff who were in there.
Yes.
And she was like in full like old school Miley Hannah mode with the crowd and stuff.
And apparently she did 3 takes of each song.
Three takes of each
I think is
song.
what I need.
Yeah, exactly.
To fill my cup.
And she was like giving little teasers about her all the stuff that got cut from the actual thing, teasers about her outfit. Apparently like they told everyone like to do the iconic Hannah chant at the end and the crowd changed it to Miley to show like we're here for you. And she got really emotional and all these things. But there was so much more of that we didn't see.
I would sell a lung to have attended that concert.
It's so interesting when they show the audience, everyone's crying and sobbing, which is exactly how I would be. And apparently they had to wait outside for hours and hours in the sun. They finally got moved inside. Like they had the fans who went to the live taping had the worst day, but they look like the happiest people in the world because apparently the what happened at the taping.
They're dehydrated and exhausted.
Exactly. They're delirious. No, because apparently the taping was like such a special experience. I think it kind of came across, but maybe not enough.
And I heard it was in the studio. So on one side you've got the stage and then the set, which is the recreation of the Hannah Montana Miley Cyrus house, was on the other side. So I think that would be like amazing as well. I think a tour would have been so great. I would have loved a special that was just following like a tour rather than the sit down with Alex Cooper. I think that would have been really special. But hey, maybe we'll be here for the 50th anniversary.
Maybe. Well, I hope so. I would love to see that. You know, they're just planning it. So we have some notes on the Hannah Montana reunion, but overall
I'm happy.
Okay.